morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million online rendezvous. 1M by 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world for technology startups. We work only with high-tech, IT and IT-enabled services, but we do work globally and we do work 100% virtually. So that is our raison d'etre, and we've been at it for a long time. It's been 10 years, more than 10 years that we've been doing 1 million by 1 million, and our free mentoring roundtables have been going on since 2008. So I think the first thing I'm going to address is many of you who are joining today or listening to this recording are in need of reviewing your projects, your business, your idea, whatever, with me. And if you'd like to do that, please go to our website, 1mby1m.com, go to free public roundtables and register to pitch at one of the upcoming sessions. These are the sessions in which we do active project-based mentoring. These are safe working sessions. You're most welcome to come and use them. Over 150,000 people around the world have participated in these. So it's a, very well-known forum for getting this kind of feedback. So that's where we will tackle your projects. But today we're going to tackle questions. This is what we do in these live sessions. We're today live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And we will do basically a bunch of question and answers. We have questions that we collect from various different forums, various different touch points where we participate or interact with our community. And I have collected a set of questions for today's session. So without further ado, let's go to the first question. And today I have chosen at least to begin with a question on acquisitions and exit strategy. And it's a very simple question. How does a big company go about figuring out which smaller company to acquire? Now, of course, every entrepreneur has to think of an exit strategy. Some will find their exit strategy in the public market, but the vast majority of technology entrepreneurs actually end up not going public, but getting acquired. So my take on acquisitions is mostly acquisitions happen to expand the product line of a larger company. In this case, the acquiring company looks at the startups within their ecosystem and decide which ones to buy. Sometimes they want to acquire relevant talent. Maybe there is, very specific kind of talent sitting inside very specific companies. These are acqui-hires, and they also work similarly. They kind of keep an eye on who's doing what within their space and who are the real domain experts and technology geniuses or product geniuses sitting inside some of these companies, and they will acquire a company to bring that talent in-house. One nuance to this that I want to point out, and if you've been attending my sessions, I talk a lot about platform as a service. Platform ecosystems are becoming more and more common. A lot of platforms now allow you to integrate with them through APIs, and some have opened up their platforms to actually develop products on. So if you're part of a platform ecosystem, you would be very easy to be found by the platform owner, because platform owners keep track of who's doing what on their platform and who's building what, who's getting product market fit, and so on. So acquisitions happen very naturally and very comfortably through the platform as a service ecosystems, or even API marketplaces. So this is something we see a lot, and you may want to bring this into your thought process as you develop your exit strategy and your product strategy. Even, developing on somebody else's stack is a product strategy, and it is a product strategy often with a very definitive acquisition path in mind. So if you're trying to get acquired by a SaaS company, but your product has been built on somebody else's stack or a different stack, that integration is a big overhead. Whereas if you're built on the same stack as the company that's trying to acquire you, it's much easier. The downside, of course, is you're making a bet very early on a platform, and the number of acquirers then becomes more limited. And by the way, we have also seen IPOs happen. Lots of good, solid IPOs happen on top of platforms. Okay, the next question I'm going to go to is, how can a startup get the first 100 customers? This brings me to this platform as a service strategy. Depends on what domain you're trying to acquire customers in. If you're trying to acquire customers in SaaS, if you build on top of a PaaS, or if you integrate with a marketplace that is already, exposing its, marketplace app vendors into their customer base, that's a very, very good way to acquire customers. So, if you want to read up on this body of, work, bootstrapping by piggybacking, go to our website, look for bootstrapping by piggybacking, where I've talked quite extensively about how to ride on PaaS platform ecosystems and marketplaces. The next question is a slightly different question. The question is, how can a college student best prepare for starting a career in entrepreneurship? Now, I'm going to answer this question from your point of view, but it's actually a broader question. Anybody who's trying to prepare for entrepreneurship can do a lot of work, before starting down the entrepreneurial journey. And that strategy squarely sits in the domain of study. I know this sounds kind of intimidating, but you have to study, you have to learn. And I'll give you 3 pointers on where you can start your studying. Number 1, go to our website and look for the bootstrapping course. It's on our homepage, 1mby1m.com. You'll have a pointer to a free bootstrapping course. It's 1 hour. I would like you to study that. It gives you an overview of technology entrepreneurship and where you should be starting. If you want to go further, you can do the 1M basic program. That is many hundred hours worth of digital curriculum that you can do from anywhere in the world at your own time, at your own pace. And I would suggest you study case studies. If you do the basic program, case studies are folded into the methodology, so you will encounter case studies naturally. You can also access case studies on the 1M blog under Entrepreneur Journeys. And by the way, this is everything I said applies also to those of you who have a job and are thinking of starting down the entrepreneurship path, down the line. So if you are what we call bootstrapping with a paycheck, this is also the same path that we request you follow, or we recommend that you follow. Study first, study methodology, understand how to put one step before the other, and then go about, doing that while holding on to your job. So yes, you can do it as a student, you can do it as an employee of a larger company, and you can get started on your entrepreneurial journey very early and very efficiently just by following these steps. Next question is, what are some of the biggest obstacles to raising capital for a startup? Well, I see two things repeatedly: lack of product market fit. And my conclusion on that topic is investors don't like unvalidated ideas without product market fit already figured out. So if you can bootstrap your way to product market fit, your chances of raising money is much higher. And then the second one is lack of investor entrepreneur fit. Investors are not a one size fits all group. They have investment thesis. Every single investor has a point of view on what they want to invest in. And you have to find investors who are interested in your domain. So I'm going to point you to, again, some related resources. Due diligence questions. This is to gauge product market fit and whether you know what you're doing, how to sell, what customer segment to go after, etc. If you go to the website 1mby1m.com and look for self-assessment on the top navigation bar, those are the due diligence questions. And this is a free tool that you can use on our website. The second body of resources that I will point you to is investor introductions. Again, go to our blog, go to our website, 1mby1m.com, go to investor introductions on the top navigation panel, and you will find a wealth of information on investor entrepreneur fit issues, especially pointers to the seed capital series, where we bring on investors to talk about what they want to invest in. Free public roundtables. As I said, you can come talk to me if you like, get feedback on your business and so forth. And of course, the bootstrapping course that I talked about earlier. All these are related resources to figure out how to maximize your probability of raising money. The next question is, why do large companies like to buy bootstrap startups? It is actually very much the norm in our industry that bootstrap startups are extremely attractive for larger companies who are trying to find acquisitions of certain product or technology. See, companies acquire for different reasons, as we talked about earlier. Some acquire to bring in substantial chunks of high growth revenue. Some acquire to bring in adjacent products that their sales force and channel can upsell to existing customers. Some acquire to diversify out of a one-trick pony situation. Sellers need to consider the buyer's psychology and accordingly steer the conversation. Valuations vary significantly depending on motivations. Revenue-driven acquisitions tend to be easier to put a price on. Valuations tend to be multiple of the revenue regardless of how much money the company has raised. Strategic acquisitions tend to be more complex to value. They resemble the thought process of a VC. If I acquire your company, how much additional TAM does that open up for me? Can I leverage my sales force and channel and push your products through them? How much additional engineering is needed before we go to revenue? Have you raised too much money, making the valuation expectations irrational? Today, products are built on technology stacks that are often incompatible. This makes merger integrations challenging. Take, for example, a SaaS company acquiring another that is on a different technology stack. What is the cost of rationalizing the two stacks post-acquisition? Is there enough ROI post-rationalization to go ahead with the transaction? This also points to the fact that if you are building on a compatible stack with an eye towards a bootstrapping to exit situation, your chances of finding a successful exit would be higher. Salesforce.com's platform as a service strategy is a very good example. Numerous startups built on this stack, making it easy for Salesforce to acquire and integrate. Same with Atlassian, same with Shopify. These are stacks on which good startups are being built and integrated and that makes acquisitions easy. Atlassian is acquiring all the time from their marketplace. As you design your startup strategy, keep in mind that the technology choices you make will determine whether or not you can find a successful B2E, bootstrapping to exit outcome. Culture, by the way, matters tremendously. Whether an acquisition can be integrated successfully or not is often the factor of compatible cultures. If you're working with this bootstrapping to exit objective, study the culture of the potential acquirers and make sure you don't get tripped with vastly incompatible dynamics. And by the way, to maintain negotiating leverage, try to get customers and ideally maintain profitability and sustainability so that you're in a strong position to negotiate the price of the acquisition. Otherwise, you're going to get pushed into a corner. You can always say, no, we don't want to acquire, we don't want to sell right now. We'll keep going and we will keep building, and we're making money. It's fine. We'll sell later. That answer you can only give if you don't have your back to the wall. If you're running out of money or if you're going out of business, that answer cannot be given. But large companies like to buy bootstrap startups because they're generally cheaper. If a company has raised $50 million in funding, then all the investors have high expectations of the exit price, and they're probably not going to sell at $50 million. Whereas if you have a bootstrap startup that has hardly raised any money or has raised maybe $1 million or $2 million, then a $50 million exit is very attractive for that company. And if they've been working only for 2-3 years, it's a quick exit, everybody makes good money. That's why bootstrap startups are so popular as acquisition options. And also from a acquisition due diligence point of view, and getting a deal through, it's a lot faster to get smaller deals through than very large deals. Okay, here's an interesting, different kind of question. What is a fair deal in seed funding? This is interesting. I always rephrase this question in a way that you think about the fact that ownership matters. You must understand how much ownership matters. So let's do a case study. Mark Zuckerberg retained 26% equity and most voting control in Facebook, majority voting control in Facebook. Zuckerberg's net worth was over 50 billion in January 2017. Today it's over 100 billion. He's one of the richest people in the world. How did he retain 26% in Facebook? Facebook started with friends and family money in February 2004. By September 2004, it had ad revenues and traction. Peter Thiel invested the first outside money. He invested $500,000 for 10% of Facebook. There are a lot of startups who take money from accelerators where the terms are $25,000 for 10% equity. This is a very bad deal, okay? You can't keep control of your ownership if you start out by giving up 10% of your company for $25,000. Please don't do such deals. It really screws up your cap table. Anyway, so Peter Thiel's deal is a good model, $500,000 for 10%. This keeps the cap table healthy. Facebook remained attractive on follow-on rounds. The rounds are as follows, the early rounds. September 2004, $500,000 in seed. This is the Peter Thiel round, valuation $5 million. May 2005, $12.7 million Series A, valuation $100 million. Revenue run rate $6 million, but Facebook is already heavily monetizing. As a result, it's growing tremendously virally and it's monetizing. So, of course, Series A is incredibly attractive. In May 2006, Series B, $27.5 million, valuation $525 million. See how little dilution is happening in each of these rounds. Everyone's talking about Facebook at this point. In 2006, all VCs are talking about Facebook. Everybody wants to get into the Facebook funding. Zuckerberg is being hailed as the next Bill Gates. Of course, today he is in that same league as far as wealth is concerned. And Zuckerberg has voting control, he has ownership, control, etc. So he's wielding extraordinary negotiating power in each round. Facebook is a rocket, and he's the pilot of this rocket. So now VCs are begging to get in. October 2007, $240 million Series C, valuation $15 billion, revenue run rate $150 million. Yahoo wanted to buy Facebook for $1 billion in July 2006. Facebook at the time was 2 years old. Investors wanted to sell. Zuckerberg did not want to sell. And Zuckerberg won that boardroom battle because he had ownership control. 2 lessons from Zuckerberg. Don't raise too much money too soon, and focus on revenues to keep valuations high and minimize dilution. Ownership matters. If you're trying to learn through an accelerator, go to a non-equity based accelerator. Do not give up 10% for $25,000. It's not worth your time. Do bootstrapping with a paycheck. Do bootstrapping using services. Use a non-equity accelerator. 1 million by 1 million is a non-equity accelerator. We don't take away large chunks of your equity early on when you're trying to learn and just try to figure things out. Don't raise money too soon. That's our mantra. Early funding destroys cap tables, and destroyed cap tables spell disaster for future funding. All right? So that's my, answer to this question. I am actually going to I'm going to do something a bit different next. We are in the Thanksgiving week in America. This is a very particular year. So I just wrote a post called Thanksgiving Meditations, and I want to read you from that post. The year 2020 is about to enter its last month. For most of humanity, it has been the most intense year in at least half a century. I think about my own experience, walking in idyllic Menlo Park, fall foliage painting my vision in chrome yellow, vermilion orange, crimson red. I feel nothing but gratitude. Millions of migrant workers walked hundreds of miles at the onset of the Indian lockdown. The government forgot about them in a mad rush to check the virus. With no work and no means of subsistence, they tried to get back to their villages, their families, from the cities where they worked as day laborers. The super spreader nursing homes in Italy killed en masse their fragile denizens. The virus caught them off guard and spread like wildfire. Hospitals overflowed. My father's friend, his parents, wife, and son all died of COVID within a few days of one another in Hyderabad. His daughter returned from abroad to this carnage. Restaurant owners have watched their hard work crumble into dark nothingness. What can I possibly feel other than gratitude? And yet, I hear people in my entitled milieu complaining about boredom and monotony from their Atherton estates. Atherton is one of the richest zip codes in America. Their chief complaint: can't go to restaurants, can't go to New Zealand on vacation. I feel ashamed. Intense experiences of other kinds have also peppered the year. America saved democracy. Eric Yuan's net worth ballooned from a modest $3 billion to a staggering $25 billion. The world learned to work from home. Zoom, the company that Eric founded and leads, has become the key enabler of this phenomenon. Scientists raced against time and discovered vaccines. My year has been rather familiar. 1M by 1M has tried to offer entrepreneurs the one thing missing from the world today: normalcy. In private, and because we have not socialized at all, I have spent more time being present. Present to nature, present to colors, present to words, present to food. Minimalism, I experience, is liberating. Retreat, I observe, offers clarity. What a luxury it has been to have this opportunity to immerse deep within. If you have experienced true tragedy this year, I offer you my sincere condolences. Otherwise, be safe this Thanksgiving and be deeply grateful. All right, with that, I am going to sign off for today. Remember, if you're looking for feedback on your project, come to the free public roundtables. They happen every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific. This week, no, because it's Thanksgiving, but we'll start again after Thanksgiving. And most weeks of the year, we have free roundtables, and you're very welcome to come with your projects. And these are safe working sessions. I will work with you, give you feedback, give you pointers, etc. That's it. I wish you all the best. The winter in a lot of places is turning out to be really, really tricky vis-a-vis COVID. Europe is struggling, America is struggling. So please keep yourselves and keep your families safe. Stay within your social pods. Try not to do parties and stuff for Thanksgiving and Christmas and all other holidays that will come up during this period. Next year, you can do holidays, but if you end up having big tragedies within the family this year, it's going to be really sad, because these people whom you're going to lose are not going to be around next year to celebrate holidays with you. And I have parents, old parents in India. I'm an only child, and I live in constant terror about my parents. About their getting infected. They're by themselves, and it's been a very traumatic year in that sense. But at the same time, I'm grateful for all the blessings that we have, and happy Thanksgiving. Bye.